Welcome to FlyEaglesFly News, where Eagles fans get the latest, fastest, and hottest updates. Hit subscribe and fly high with us. The Raiders seem to be in complete disarray as the latest updates have sent shockwaves through the league, with insiders hinting that the Eagles are suddenly gaining a strong advantage ahead of the matchup. Sources close to the Raiders' locker room have revealed a series of internal issues, ranging from minor injuries to strategic disagreements, which could potentially compromise the team's performance. Analysts and fans alike are speculating whether this sudden shift is enough to tilt the balance entirely in favor of Philadelphia, especially considering the Eagles' momentum from recent games. The Raiders' defensive lineup, which had previously been a source of confidence, is reportedly facing uncertainties, leading to questions about whether key players will be able to deliver under pressure. Meanwhile, Philadelphia seems to be riding a wave of positive energy, with their recent practice sessions reportedly running smoothly and players expressing a heightened sense of focus. Some insiders suggest that this psychological edge could play a critical role in the upcoming clash, with the Eagles perhaps entering the game with not just tactical advantage, but a morale boost that might prove decisive against the Raiders team that appears more fragile than anticipated. Speculation about the Raiders' offensive strategies has intensified following the update, as commentators highlight the potential absence of pivotal players due to lingering injuries or undisclosed personal matters. Observers are noting unusual shifts in practice formations, suggesting that the coaching staff may be scrambling to patch holes in the lineup that were not previously anticipated. There are murmurs that the offensive line might not perform at the same level as in past encounters, raising concerns about the team's ability to maintain control in high-pressure moments. The Eagles, on the other hand, have been reportedly taking advantage of every single opportunity to analyze these weaknesses, with scouts allegedly focusing on every detail of the Raiders' formation adjustments and player habits. Rumors also indicate that Philadelphia's quarterback has been running specialized drills designed specifically to exploit these anticipated gaps, potentially giving the Eagles a crucial upper hand. Social media reactions have already begun to feed this narrative, with fans and analysts alike weighing in, creating an atmosphere where the perceived advantage seems to grow with every passing hour. It is becoming increasingly difficult to dismiss these whispers as mere speculation, given the convergence of insider reports, tactical observations, and the evident morale disparity between the two teams. The Raiders' locker room dynamics have also become a topic of discussion, with unnamed sources suggesting tension among veteran players and coaching staff. Allegedly, there is a growing sense of frustration over strategic decisions, which some insiders claim might have reached a tipping point. This internal friction could potentially affect communication on the field, making it more challenging for the Raiders to execute plays with precision. Contrastingly, reports from the Eagles camp describe a completely different scenario, emphasizing cohesion, shared objectives, and a unified approach to the upcoming game. Speculators are pointing out that the psychological state of both teams might be just as important as physical readiness, with the Raiders facing mounting pressure to perform despite emerging complications. Analysts are raising questions about whether the team can maintain composure, or if the Eagles will capitalize on this visible unease. Additionally, the media has highlighted anecdotal evidence of uncharacteristic errors during Raiders practice sessions, feeding the narrative of a team struggling to stabilize. Meanwhile, Philadelphia appears to be methodically refining their strategy, reportedly experimenting with formations specifically tailored to exploit perceived weaknesses in the Raiders' defense. The contrast could be stark, potentially setting the stage for a game where confidence and morale may dictate the outcome as much as skill and tactics. There is also speculation surrounding key Raiders players who have not been able to train fully, either due to injuries that were only recently disclosed or precautionary measures taken by the coaching staff. Insiders suggest that these absences could significantly impact both the offensive rhythm and defensive coordination, leading to vulnerabilities that the Eagles may exploit. In response to this, Philadelphia is reportedly studying historical tendencies, matchups, and player behavior patterns, aiming to craft a strategy that maximizes these advantages. Observers are pointing out that the Raiders' depth might be tested more than ever before, potentially exposing less experienced substitutes to high-pressure situations. Rumors also hint at last-minute changes to the Raiders' playbook, suggesting a reactive approach that may lack the refinement and predictability necessary for success against a well-prepared opponent. Philadelphia, by contrast, is seemingly approaching the game with meticulous planning and a clear vision, with insiders highlighting the focus and intensity in their latest practice sessions. Social media and sports forums are already buzzing with discussions about this perceived imbalance, with many suggesting that the Eagles' preparation combined with the Raiders' sudden vulnerabilities could decisively shape the dynamics of the upcoming matchup. Analysts are increasingly framing this as a clash not only of teams, but of readiness, mental fortitude, and adaptability, adding layers of intrigue to an already highly anticipated encounter beyond strategy and injuries. There are growing murmurs regarding the Raiders' psychological state, with unnamed insiders indicating that confidence within the team may have dipped significantly. Some suggest that the recent updates have created a sense of unease, potentially influencing decision-making under pressure and amplifying mistakes that might otherwise have been avoided. The Eagles camp, on the other hand, seems to be benefiting from a surge of optimism, reportedly embracing the opportunity to capitalize on their opponent's current instability. Analysts are highlighting that momentum, confidence, and morale can often tip the scales in critical matchups, especially when paired with detailed preparation and tactical advantage. Rumors also indicate that Philadelphia's leadership is emphasizing composure, adaptability, and exploiting small errors, cultivating an environment where every player is ready to contribute to a potential advantage. Observers are noting that if these patterns persist, the Eagles might enter the game not only as a technically prepared team, but also as one psychologically positioned to seize control at key moments. The narrative is gaining traction across sports media, with speculation building around the idea that the Raiders' panic could transform into a tangible edge for Philadelphia, potentially reshaping expectations for what many fans anticipated would be a competitive showdown. Finally, talk of the Raiders' current state extends into speculation about future consequences beyond this particular matchup. Sources indicate that if these vulnerabilities are exposed in full, there could be repercussions on coaching strategies, player rotations, and even the team's public perception. The Eagles, in contrast, might leverage this opportunity to reinforce their image as a composed and strategic powerhouse, further fueling speculation about their potential dominance in upcoming games. Analysts are debating whether this perceived imbalance could trigger long-term adjustments or simply reflect temporary circumstances unique to the current situation. Social media platforms are filled with conjectures, memes, and heated discussions, amplifying the narrative of an Eagles team gaining ground while the Raiders scramble to find stability. Fans are watching closely, weighing insider reports against historical performance, and creating an environment where rumors can quickly shape expectations. While nothing is confirmed on the field, the combination of tactical readiness, morale, and emerging uncertainties is generating a sense of suspense and speculation that is impossible to ignore as the countdown to kickoff continues. The storyline of Raiders' panic and Eagles' advantage is dominating conversations, setting the stage for what could be a pivotal, narrative-driven showdown. As speculation continues, insiders have begun highlighting particular matchups within the game that could define the narrative, pointing to key Eagles players whose skills are believed to exploit gaps in the Raiders' current formations. Rumors suggest that Philadelphia's offensive and defensive units have been practicing intensely, focusing on scenarios that anticipate Raider weaknesses. Observers note that these preparations may translate into real-time advantages, with the Eagles poised to dictate the tempo of the game. In contrast, the Raiders' training sessions reportedly reflect reactive adjustments, as if the coaching staff is attempting to patch vulnerabilities without fully integrating the solutions into a cohesive plan. Analysts are raising questions about whether these sudden alterations could disrupt rhythm, confuse players, or inadvertently expose additional weaknesses. Meanwhile, the psychological aspect continues to dominate speculation, with insiders hinting that the Raiders' panic may create a ripple effect, undermining communication, execution, and decision-making. Social media has already latched onto these reports, fueling narratives of a potential collapse and elevating the perception of Eagles' dominance. As these discussions circulate, the contrast between the well-prepared Eagles and the reportedly unsettled Raiders is growing sharper, reinforcing the notion that this matchup may hinge as much on mental readiness and adaptability as on pure skill or athletic prowess. Rumors about last-minute tactical shifts in the Raiders' game plan have intensified, with unnamed sources suggesting that coaches are considering unconventional formations or play calls in an effort to regain control. Analysts speculate that these adjustments, while potentially innovative, may also introduce confusion or mistakes during execution. The Eagles, by contrast, are allegedly capitalizing on these uncertainties, reportedly practicing scenarios that mirror these possible Raider changes. Insiders suggest that Philadelphia's meticulous attention to detail could provide them with a critical advantage, allowing them to anticipate moves and react efficiently in high-pressure situations. Observers are also pointing to the Raiders' historical tendency to struggle under sudden disruption, suggesting that even minor errors could cascade into larger problems on the field. Meanwhile, social media platforms are alive with discussion, with fans and commentators weighing the likelihood of a Raider comeback against the mounting evidence of Philadelphia's preparation and cohesion. These narratives collectively create a sense that the game may be less about raw talent and more about execution, mental toughness, and the ability to exploit an opponent's instability. The ongoing speculation continues to paint the Eagles as favorites, not only due to skill but because of the combination of preparation, morale, and perceived Raider vulnerability. FlyEaglesFly News family, smash subscribe and hit like. Your support keeps the freshest Philadelphia Eagles updates flying in. Drop your take in the comments and let's talk birds. There is also chatter surrounding the Raiders' leadership structure, with insiders suggesting that tension between coaching staff and veteran players may be influencing strategy and decision-making. Reports hint at disagreements over key play selections, practice methods, and roster decisions, potentially undermining cohesion at a critical moment. This internal strife could affect in-game performance, particularly in scenarios requiring split-second adjustments or coordinated responses. The Eagles, conversely, are allegedly embracing a unified approach, with leadership reportedly fostering trust, communication, and accountability. Analysts speculate that this contrast in internal dynamics might translate directly into performance disparities, with Philadelphia possibly leveraging these psychological advantages to maintain composure and pressure the Raiders strategically. Fans and commentators have begun framing the matchup in terms of mental resilience, with social media amplifying narratives of panic versus preparation. Additionally, rumors suggest that Philadelphia may be targeting specific players perceived as vulnerable under stress, further intensifying the speculation around the potential outcome. As conversations continue, it is becoming increasingly difficult to separate fact from narrative, with the Eagles' supposed advantage feeding into a broader storyline of control, cohesion, and confidence against the Raiders squad grappling with emergent complications. The Raiders' injury reports have also sparked a wave of conjecture, with insiders hinting at key players who may be unable to perform at peak levels. Analysts suggest that these absences could alter both offensive execution and defensive stability, creating gaps that the Eagles are reportedly preparing to exploit. Sources indicate that Philadelphia has been running targeted drills aimed at capitalizing on anticipated weaknesses, potentially translating rumors into tactical advantage. Observers are also noting that the Raiders' substitutes, though talented, may lack the experience to withstand high-pressure situations, intensifying speculation about possible errors during critical moments. Meanwhile, social media and fan forums are filled with debate, analysis, and predictions, reinforcing the narrative of Eagles' advantage while amplifying perceptions of Raiders' vulnerability. Experts are framing the matchup as a test of preparation versus reaction, with the Eagles' proactive strategy contrasted against the Raiders' reportedly reactive approach. This speculation continues to dominate discussions, suggesting that, even without confirmation from official sources, the balance of expectations is increasingly perceived in Philadelphia's favor, fueling anticipation for a game shaped as much by mental and strategic factors as by athletic performance. Attention has also turned to specific player matchups, with rumors suggesting that Philadelphia star players are being positioned to directly exploit Raider vulnerabilities. Analysts speculate that these tactical placements may allow the Eagles to control key moments, dictate tempo, and create opportunities that could define the flow of the game. Sources hint at specialized training, film study, and simulated scenarios designed to anticipate the Raiders' adjustments, reinforcing a sense of readiness and adaptability. Observers are also pointing out that, if these strategies are successfully implemented, the Eagles could convert perceived weaknesses into tangible advantages, further widening the gap between expectation and reality. Meanwhile, Raiders insiders reportedly stress-test different formations, yet rumors suggest that these experiments may lack cohesion or fail, Under live conditions, social media conversations increasingly frame the narrative as a battle between psychological fortitude and reactive improvisation, with the Eagles allegedly enjoying both clarity of vision and momentum. Analysts and fans alike are weighing each rumor, interpreting subtle signals from practices, interviews, and insider leaks, contributing to the perception that Philadelphia is entering the game as the favorite while the Raiders grapple with multiple emergent concerns. That's a wrap from FlyEaglesFly News. If you want the fastest Eagles updates, subscribe, drop a like, and turn on the bell. Sound off in the comments. Let's talk birds.